Welcome back to SBWL, here to help you with all your brewing needs and everything. I don't know if you guys, if you have ever started like a home brew or anything like that, if you just wondered, how do you tell when your brew is stuck or it's not fermenting or anything like that? There's only, or even another thing to find out if it's done or not. One thing I've done on my very few months of brewing knowledge and doing different kind of beers and ciders and stuff like that, is that you get to a point where you stop seeing bubbles on your in your fermenter or inside your thing like that. Just to let you know, there is no time limits when it comes to how long it takes yeast to eat sugars and stuff like that. It can take a few days. It depends on how much sugar you put in over here. The more sugar you put in, obviously, the more time it's going to take for the yeast to completely eat all the sugars. And also, the time it takes for what kind of sugars do you use as well? Are you using pure white cane? Are you using sugars from fruits? Are you using glucose or whatever? The one thing that I can tell you is that give it time. Give it a week. Give it 2 weeks. At least, then that's when you're going to start seeing like the most active fermentation. If you don't see bubbles in it, that's also a good indicator that it's still fermenting and stuff like that. But how do you tell when it's done? The easiest thing that I have ever seen is that if you can change the temperature inside your fermenter, that's gonna show you if the yeast it's either dormant or they're sleeping or they're getting sluggish, because the colder it gets, the less active the yeast are. Mind you, yeast can ferment at like ridiculous temperatures. I've seen at 2 degrees Celsius, 3 degrees Celsius that I've left in the fridge and it's still fermented. Provided it took like 3 extra long months, but it did ferment the sugars completely. Even after some of the things where I have freeze distilled beforehand just to bring up the alcohol content, and I left it in the after draining all the waters out, there's obviously more sugar that's left in there and it will ferment that. So if you want to know, the easiest way is just to increase the temperature in your fermenter by simply taking your fermenting bucket or whatever. I use 10-liter bottles because it's the easiest thing to increase the temperature. Make a warm bath and put your fermenter inside there and wait about an hour. If you come back and you see there's bubbles still going on or it's fermenting, looks vigorous, that means your fermenter is not done, because the yeast is still alive, it's still trying to eat sugars and stuff like that. And even after the fermentation is done, the yeast is going to attempt to eat itself because that's the only food source that's available. So increase the temperature, wait a while and see. Alternatively, if you really, really have the money for that, you can buy yourself a hydrometer. I don't have that. I come from a poor place, so we have to figure out other ways to see if it's done fermenting or not. So an easy way is if you have a starting reading, and then you record it, write it down somewhere so you know how much sugar that your potential alcohol is there. And when you get to the end of it, you take a little bit of a sample, you put your hydrometer there and you see what the new reading is. Then you wait a couple of more days, you take another reading from the same thing. If it stays the same reading as it was, then obviously it's done. There's no more, it's not doing anything, because yeast has a tolerance of how much alcohol it can take. So if it reached that max tolerance, it's not going to try and make more alcohol. It's not going to, it's basically dying in its own poop, if you think about it. So, but yeah, the easiest way to see if the fermentation goes back up and everything is just to change the temperature, increase the temperature for it to get it started fermenting again, and that's the easiest way to see. If you like more videos like this, please hit that like and subscribe button in the bottom. Tell me where you're from in the comment section, or what kind of beer or what kind of wine or spirit you're trying to make, and we can get this community rolling and everything like that. Also, please check out my other 2 channels. I will link them in the description as well, for the Ultraload Show and the Daily Calendar. If you like podcasts, or if you like anything with music and stuff like that, those are the channels for you. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Peace.